Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. It's podcast number 2, and today we got an exciting show. We are going to be talking about Game of Thrones, and we're also going to be talking about the new Jumanji trailer. Let's begin. As far as Game of Thrones, wow, we're already at season 7. It's been a wild ride from season 1 to 6. Has been very impressive. Season 1 was an introduction of all the characters. Season 2, all the stories unfold as far as the characters. We cling on to some characters and we are disgusted by others. Season 3 is where the series starts to take a turn. I think that's where it hits its peak and it takes a turn. Season 4 is the aftermath after the turn. Season 5 would be a switch. It's starting to steer away from the political medieval show, from the drama, and it's starting to move into a little more action. Season 6, that's the wrap-up. It ties up all the loose ends because I think Season 7 is going to a different direction. Season 6, Season 5, that was pretty much, okay, it's not... Now we're saying goodbye to the Game of Thrones that you were used to for the last 5 years. And now we're making the transition into from dramatic, from political to action, an action show, a horror show. And I'm really looking forward to Season 7. I want to know what's going to happen next. The main threat in the show Game of Thrones are the zombies or the White Walkers that have always been lurking. They've been in the north, beyond the wall. Now they're making their way south, heading towards Westeros, heading towards King's Landing, heading towards civilization and the general population. Whereas before, in the first 5 seasons, everybody has been bickering over insignificant things, and they just weren't aware of this big threat that was looming. And now as we're approaching Season 7, now everybody's going to get familiar with this big threat. And I'm looking forward to see where the directors, the writers, producers, where they're going to take the show now. I'm expecting a lot of surprises, a lot of twists, turns, a lot of the unexpected on the show Game of Thrones. One of the things that makes the books and the show so great is the way that it's written, both the books and the show. It leaves a lot to the imagination. There's parts of the story that aren't concluded, and people can come up with their own arguments, come up with their own theories. And I know I'm going to start going into spoilers. So this is the part of the podcast where I'm going to be going into spoilers, and I just want to warn everybody that after this warning, it's all going to be spoilers. Okay, so now that I gave you guys some time, now let's dive into some spoilers. One of the theories or the things that I want to mention here is Arya Stark. How does she fit into the show? When we first started in the first season, Arya Stark was, this little tomboy. She wanted to be this warrior, this female warrior. And in the first season, her father, Ed Stark, was asked to go to King's Landing to be the hand of the king to his best friend, Robert Baratheon, his friend in battle. And pretty much Robert Baratheon was the president, and Eddard Stark, I think, would be the vice president. So Eddard Stark went to King's Landing, the capital, to assist his friend, the king, and he took his 2 daughters, Sansa and Arya. So Arya was in King's Landing, and her dad hired one of the best instructors as far as sword fighting. He was a water ballerina, a water dancer, and she taught him. The instructor taught Arya how to fight with the sword. Pretty much everything she thought she knew about battling, about sword fighting, was torn down or broken down, and she was rebuilt again as far as how to fight with a sword. She was taught how to chase cats, that fighting with swords, it's more of a dance than an actual battle. And her dancing instructor was, I want to get his name right, Cirio Farrell. And near the end of the first season, when the show goes into overdrive as far as who are the bad guys, who are the good guys, the struggle, the drama, the Lannisters, which support the king and are the richest family in Westeros, want to conquer the Starks, which is Ed Stark and his 2 daughters. And Cirio Farrell helps Arya Stark escape. And he had this saying, this catchphrase that was, "What do we say to the god of death? Not today." And there's been a lot of instances throughout the series where Arya has been near death and somehow managed to escape. So then, after Cirio Farrell, the dancing instructor, disappears from the show, we haven't seen him. We haven't seen him die. We don't know that he's dead. We've seen Arya's story move on. She's been in near-death situations, but she's always escaped. Pretty much what her dancing instructor with Cirio Farrell has told her. What do we say to the god of death? Not today. So she never died, even though she's been really close to death. And her dancing instructor, Cirio Farrell, was from Braavos. And throughout the show, Arya makes her way to Braavos. And then later on in the show, I'm not sure which season it was, I think it was the second season, she finds this guy, Jaqen H'ghar, who's been a prisoner, who's been captured. And she frees him. And she learns from Jaqen H'ghar that he can change his face. He's this great assassin that can kill anybody. But why was he captured? So it kind of seems, was Jaqen H'ghar, what's the correlation, the connection between Jaqen H'ghar and Cirio Farrell? That Cirio Farrell taught Arya how to fight and taught her the catchphrase, what do we say to the god of death? Not today. Then she meets Jaqen H'ghar. He teaches her more about how to fight, how to become an assassin, and guides her and leads her and helps her make her way to Braavos. Now she's in Braavos, and she finishes her training, and she's making her way back to Winterfell. She's been dismissed, even though she was part of this religion. Jaqen H'ghar's worshipped the many-faced god, and that she couldn't leave. Once she committed herself to the church, there was no way to leave, and he lets her leave. So it makes me curious, what is the plan? What is her design? How does she fit into all this? And that's what I'm looking forward to most when season 7 begins. What is the plan for Arya? What's Arya's storyline moving forward now? Are we going to see Cirio Farrell again? And there's so many theories. People can just go back and forth. And I know everybody has their own theory or something different that they're looking forward to on the show. And that's what I'm curious more about, Arya's storyline. And then, moving on, we had the Jumanji trailer. I wonder what everyone thinks about that. As far as how I feel about the Jumanji trailer, it's a big switch from what I was expecting. I was expecting something similar or closer to the original movie starring Robin Williams, a board game. And in this new movie, instead of being a board game, it's a video game. Or that's what the trailer leads us to believe, where these kids find the game and they get sucked into the game, and their avatars are Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillian from Guardians of the Galaxy Nebula, and Jack Black from School of Rock. And as far as the first trailer, it's not enough for me to make a definite decision as to whether it's going to be good or bad. But I'm willing to give this movie a chance because to have the cast that they have in that movie, I don't think they would agree to be part of a bad movie. I think this is going to be a really good movie. The Rock, he's just very talented. He can do action movies. He can do comedy. Kevin Hart, we've seen him do action movies, action/comedies with The Rock as far as Central Intelligence, and he did those movies with Ice Cube that were also action comedies. And then you have Karen Gillan, who's just an amazing actress. If you've seen her in Guardians of the Galaxy play the role of Nebula, that character really scares me. The way she plays the character really scares me, and I think Karen Gillan is one of those actresses that can really get deep into her character, and now we're watching the character unfold on the screen and not the actress. Jack Black, he's really good. He's been making movies that just leave people surprised. One of them that comes to mind is Goosebumps, how some people thought that was not going to be a really good movie, but Goosebumps just surprised everybody, just blew everyone's mind how unexpectedly good it was, how it was able to fit all the different stories from the books just well into one coherent movie, one big story. It fit very well, and it was very entertaining. And just by the cast, the trailer, not so much. If the trailer featured a different cast, I probably wouldn't give the movie a chance. I would skip it. But because the cast is in it, I'm actually going to give the movie a chance. And looking forward to that movie coming out and reporting back to you guys as far as how I felt about the movie. And I'm curious as far as how you guys felt about the movie once it comes out. I know maybe there's some people saying that Jack Black has made some movies that haven't been so good, like Gulliver's Travel, and then I think he made that movie with Ben Stiller that nobody really saw, where he invents that product called Vape Poo Riser. And The Rock, he wasn't in a good movie this year. He was in the movie Baywatch, and that wasn't well received, and it didn't do too well at the box office, and critics didn't like it. But I feel this movie, Jumanji, is going to be different from Baywatch because of the great cast that's involved in Jumanji. As far as Baywatch, I would understand people's concerns if Baywatch had more well-known actors in roles in the movie, then I would understand the concerns. But as far as Jumanji having a really good cast, The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan, I don't think they would all sign up to be part of a bad movie. I think for each one of them to sign up and participate in that movie had to be one really good role, and it's going to be worth checking out, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you guys very much for listening to the podcast, and I can't wait till next week to see what else we're going to talk about, what's news are going to drop by from the land of Hollywood so we can talk about it, discuss it, and share it. Thank you very much, and until next week.